Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and we begin tonight with Joe Biden's damnable lies about the Catholic Church. It's one thing for Joe Biden to put the disposition of his own soul at risk on a regular basis by championing abortion and other policies that put him directly at odds with the Catholic Church's dogmas. But it's an entirely different problem when he misrepresents the Church's teachings on such matters, misleading potentially millions of Catholics into thinking that they too can defy the Church and still be a devout Catholic in good standing. And make no mistake, when Joe Biden continues to repeat that he is a devout Catholic, a statement that he and his communications team repeats over and over and over again, like it's more of a campaign slogan than a description of his personal faith, the man is positioning himself as a lay spokesman for what the Church represents. See, that's the devilish deal he's making when he uses his religion as a mere political prop. Joe Biden was inspired by the Kennedy brothers back in the 1960s, and so Biden does what they did. He utilizes the dirty dogmas of identity politics to try and secure the Catholic vote, in the same way a politician will cynically look at locking down the black vote or the Latino vote or any other ethnic group that can easily be exploited by a cynical partisan. Back in Biden's day, the Catholic vote was just seen as another ethnic group, mostly made up of politically active Irish and Italian Democrats along the East Coast. You evoke the Kennedys and talk about your Catholic faith, and you're sure to get the Knights of Columbus to come out and work on your campaign. But constantly proclaiming his devout Catholicism makes him a de facto representative of the Church here in America. He's probably the highest profile Catholic in this country. And when he scandalously misrepresents some of the fundamental dogmas of the faith, he's guilty of deliberately leading others to salvation doom. Now, Biden's latest disinformation campaign occurred when he angrily corrected a reporter's question about the U.S. bishop's positioning on funding for abortion. Watch.
Catholic bishops are demanding that federal tax dollars not fund abortion. No, they are not all doing that. Nor is the Pope doing that.
Mr. President. That's typical Biden. Yell at the guy and point his finger and act like a tough guy. Shouting down a reporter from EWTN, which is a worldwide Catholic network. That reporter dared to challenge Biden's inspired knowledge on the Church's teachings, because what would a Catholic reporter know about it? Don't you know who I am? I'm Joe Biden, damn it, I'm a devout Catholic. Like the bully he is, he swaggered through the exchange by shouting a complete falsehood, and he even dragged the Pope into the equation. Now, I want to give credit to the U.S. Catholic bishops who didn't waste any time putting out a statement clarifying the record. In this case, of course, clarifying the record means exposing Biden's lie. Here's what they said. This, by the way, comes from Archbishop Timothy Broglio. He's with the Archdiocese of the Military Services. That means he's a chaplain in the military. He's part of the president's chain of command, but he's got a higher calling. And as he says in his statement, we're taught by Jesus, human life is sacred. God calls us to defend and nurture life from the moment a new human being is conceived. The Catholic Church has been clear and consistent in this teaching. The Catholic bishops of the United States are united in our commitment to life and will continue to work as one body in Christ to make abortions unthinkable. And then, because Biden dragged Pope Francis into it, he quoted the pontiff saying it's not right to do away with a human being, however small, in order to solve a problem. It's like hiring a hitman. And finally, taxpayer funding of abortion would force people of good conscience to participate in this grave evil against their will. That's clear, that's unambiguous, that's the Church's position on taxpayer funding of abortion. Biden lied. But this goes well beyond just a fact check of a politician's lies. I mean, let's face it, we're used to Biden lying. He does it all the time. He's done it for most of his 50-year career in politics. And let's be clear, he's not just lying so he can pretend to be a good Catholic. He's lying so he can give cover to all the Catholic Democrats out there who are uneasy with their party's position on abortion. If American Catholics realize the grave sin that goes along with supporting Democrats who actively promote abortion on demand, then a lot of Democrat votes disappear overnight. And Democrats like Biden can't have that. All they care about is votes. So if lying about the Church's doctrine can secure nominal Catholics who oppose abortion but still vote Democrat out of habit, then so be it. Hey, listen, I get it. That's typical American politics. Say what you have to say to lock in those votes and win the election. Biden's lies about abortion are so much more insidiously evil than just your typical politician trying to fake his way into a certain group by posing like he's one of them. Remember Hillary Clinton claiming to love the Yankees after saying she was a lifelong Cubs fan for her entire career? Yeah, this is more than that. Biden's lies about the Catholic faith and Catholic doctrine have much larger consequences. Lies about his Catholic faith are much more damaging for innocent Catholics who sadly don't know any better. Biden's depraved misrepresentation of Catholic teaching will lead those Catholic Democrats who don't vote Republican because their parents had a picture of John Kennedy right next to Jesus Christ in their doorway straight to eternal damnation. Now, clearly, the American bishops are reticent to speak as plainly as I am right now about this dilemma, but they need to. They're concerned that they'll lose more souls by appearing to use their faith for political purposes. See, the Catholic bishops and probably the Pope himself are concerned that by speaking the truth about Joe Biden's misrepresentations of the faith, they're going to lose a whole lot of Catholics who are maybe on the fence, who get turned off by the idea that the bishops are choosing sides in a partisan American political debate. Now, that's too bad. I think it's a real concern, and I recognize the danger here. It's not the bishop's fault that they put in this position. It's Joe Biden's fault. He has dragged them into this position. This is all on Joe Biden. Every time he represents himself and presents himself for communion, he is forcing the priest in that church to make a decision that is contrary to our church's teachings. But it's not the priest's fault. It's not the bishop's fault. It's not the Pope's fault. It's Joe Biden's fault. He knows better. He knows that a Catholic in good conscience should not be presenting themselves for the Eucharist or for communion if they are in grave sin. And he is in a state of mortal sin, constantly, because of his support of abortion on demand. He should know better. He does know better. He doesn't care. And by constantly proclaiming how devout he is, and at the same time proclaiming that the church is just fine with his bloodlust for abortion, he is single-handedly leading more uncatechized Catholics astray than the devil would himself. And it's time for the bishops to say it, just like that, just like I said it. I recognize Joe Biden's soul is already lost, but there's no reason why he should drag down so many millions of Americans with him. It's time for Catholic bishops to, frankly, stand up for the church. Yes, it'll look political. Yes, it will look like they're being dragged into a partisan fight, because they are being dragged into a partisan fight by Joe Biden and by Nancy Pelosi and by the Democrats who still proclaim they're devout Catholics, even when thumbing their nose to a fundamental dogma of the church. But if the church doesn't stand for the truth, they don't stand for anything. So it's time. It's time to pick sides, and they should always pick the side of the truth. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight. You're watching Salem News Channel.